Hey y'all, we're back with another edition. 3 Reasons. It's CDP 209 coming at you from Las Vegas, Nevada. Born and raised Stockton, California. And today we're going to get into music. Our top 5 music with a couple of honorable mentions. But first, here go my boy, Tiger.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Tiger 209. Stockton, stand up. Everybody everywhere, stand up. It's time to get into the albums that made me and my two bros and The Last of Us.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's Common Sense Marcus, man. We got a special episode of music today. You know, we holding down Northern California 209. Music to change our lives. Maybe, maybe not. Music to just hit us upside the head. But we coming to you raw and uncut always. Let's get it. All right, well, today, I guess I'll kick it off today. My first honorable mention is AC/DC. Let there be rock.
Oh.
For me, there's a lot of, I'm a lot of people don't know I'm half Irish, half African American. So a lot of my Irish side kicked in, and they play Kiss and they play like Jimi Hendrix, a lot of rock and roll side. But AC/DC, man, that album Let There Be Rock just had a lot of good ones like Highway to Hell, Thunderstick is another one that comes to mind, just like hit me over the head. After that, honorable mention, the Rocks out the way. Another one that had a big influence on my Irish side, Sublime, 40 Ounces of Freedom. It's not really rock and roll so much as like a little bit of reggae, like rap, little undertones. And then my last honorable mention is so hard. He almost made my cut. I don't know why he didn't make my cut. He's been in the game for so long. But E40, Element of Surprise. Man, that's a double album. I mean, I could play that all those songs, like from one track to the next track, like no problem. I know it word for word. Sorry, E40, you didn't make my top 5. Apologize. But those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's dope right there. That's dope.
Goodbye, next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, like for me, let me preference before I go, just give a disclaimer. I didn't really choose the albums I thought was the best to me, more of the ones that had like impact or at a certain time. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like my favorite artist's album. It's just kind of like I have some cult classics on here. And you know what I mean? And I got stuff that other people wouldn't have on their list. And also I kind of wanted to avoid because I know you guys somewhat, so I tried to kind of like keep mine like kind of separate. That way our viewers can get something else. So my first honorable mention is Jay-Z, The Blueprint. Jay is probably my favorite rapper, but as far as the impact he's had on my, I like his albums by myself. I don't have a lot of friends that's really into Jay-Z. So it wasn't really like maybe like 9-9, because that was kind of like Big Pimpin' and Rockaware coming out. But maybe that's the most. Like I've never like someone no one's really ever been, man, you heard that new Jay or whatever. So it's kind of like it's more of I listen to Jay, and not a lot of people around me really like Jay or listen to Jay. Like out, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's just he's an East Coast dude or people just ain't really into his music. But Jay-Z, The Blueprint, that was a classic album. I mean, it had Heart of the City, H to the Izzo, Girls, Girls, Girls. I mean, You Don't Know. And I mean, man, that album like is fire, from top to bottom. Maybe the Reasonable Doubt, maybe The Blueprint, because it's more generable for a broadened base. You know what I mean? It sucks. I think the Towers got took down like that same like a day or two before the album dropped, so it kind of messed up his sales. But yeah, like I said, The Blueprint was an album's classic. My second honorable mention is Dr. Dre the Chronic. Yeah. Dr. Dre the Chronic was groundbreaking to me in the sense of it put gangsta on the forefront of a national level more than NWA kind of to me, like, because NWA wasn't my time. So it was like, you know, NWA when them were hard and maybe they had more like fuck the police, kind of like more raw lyrics. But the Chronic brought the bass. I mean, it just changed the whole sound of rap. And on top of that, it was like guys like, you know what I'm saying? Guys like I would see in the video, you know what I'm saying? Bunch of dudes outside drinking 40s and stuff, you know, like that was ahead of its time to me. Like the Chronic, a lot of classics. It gave birth to some of the albums on my list. My last one, this is one I struggle with because this falls into the Jay-Z category where it's maybe one of my favorite rappers, but it's not something I have enjoyed with people or people have like embraced as in a movement outside of myself. And that's Kanye West. Probably, like I said, if we were just saying who's my favorite artist or, you know, or what album I think is just the individual tightest, you know, it might be Graduation through the first one, College Dropout. Yeah. But I also think my personal favorite, My Dark, Twisted, Beautiful Fantasy. My Beautiful, Dark, Twisted Fantasy. That was my favorite. That was the one he released. When I bought that, it came with a movie disc, you know, like where he did the album, but like visual. It had like the visual album. Oh man, like my daughter was just born a couple months prior, like, you know, a couple months before the album dropped. So when I'm watching her, you know what I mean, to be playing like all of the lights. It had all of the lights. It had Power. It had Gorgeous. It had So Appalled. It had Monster, which was the first time I ever heard Nicki Minaj. It had Runaway. It was a great blend of all types of music because Gorgeous and Runaway are so different from like Monster and you know So Appalled. You know, it kept a good balance. So those are my three honorable mentions. And it's not that I don't love, you know, Kanye. Everybody knows how I feel about him, but that was an album. People ain't into Kanye West really around me. So, like I said, that's another one. It didn't really have no impact on the way I moved because it was just me.
Right.
All right. Well, my three honorable mention is basically my whole list is probably gonna be based on like music that impacted my life in moments of my life that I could listen to this album and I'll be like, I can remember exactly what I was going through and what I was doing at that time. But one album that impacted my life was Brother Lynch Loaded. Brother Lynch Loaded. When that album dropped, he was going through a lot with going back and forth with black market records about as far as getting his money and getting paid and all that stuff. So it was a long, if you guys remember, it was a long gap of not hearing Brother Lynch. Then he finally dropped that. That dropped like Haley's Comet. And I went to Grambling State University. I was back and all my partners was gone. And I remember it was winter time in Stockton and winter, cold, raining. And, I was basically just kicking it by myself, I didn't even know that my ace was still in Stockton going to UOP. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know. I thought, and, Carl was in high school. You know what I'm saying? He had his friends. So, I was on my own, So, the Brother Lynch, you put that on, you just zone out. You know what I mean? So that had a lot of impact, you know what I'm saying? A lot of listening alone in the dark, dark time. And, number two, it got to be The Truth, Benny Siegel. It got to be, oh, man.
Raw. That was so raw.
He came out. You could listen to that from like front to beginning, from beginning to end. and every song just hit. And he spoke it from the heart. You know what I'm saying? Everything came from the heart on that album. It was just raw, uncut. You know, none of that flossing. Everybody he rolled with, you know, The Rock was into that flossing. He was in. He gave it a raw gutter. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of being raw and gutter kind of impacted his career. That's why his career was so short, because he was really doing that shit. But you know, that's what rap needed that at the time. And on number 3, that was hard. There's a lot of them, but I'm gonna have to go with Mobb Deep, Murder Music. That was the one. That's a classic, you know. Godfather Part 3 with the Scarface. Oh man, killed it. The remix with Method Man on there. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, those are my 3. And one quick one, Prodigy, rest in peace. His solo HNIC. That was an album that didn't really get no love. That was a classic album right there. And at the time, he was one of the top lyricists in the game. He still don't get no props for that, but I give him that. But that's my top, you know, honorable mention.
But before we get into the ones that made the list, let me ask you, Marcus, what made you put those rock songs on there? Like, what did them songs mean to you?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like a lot of the before I get into my list, like a lot of the songs like AC/DC, Let There Be Rock, Sublime, and E40, these were other people that introduced these albums into me. Like speaking of AC/DC, that grew from the 70s. Like somebody had to play that constantly, and then, you know, slowly like melts over you, slowly gets into your brain. Like, all right, I do like this after you hear it like 55 times in a row or whatever. But Let There Be Rock, what that means to me is like I remember like going over to my auntie's house, and like she was a big Kiss fan, like Jen Simmons, all them painted their face. Like it was a heavy group for the kids that don't know Kiss. Still a worldwide group, but she was heavy into that, and I never liked Kiss. But when she put on AC/DC, I'd be like, all right. She started cleaning the house, and I remember playing with my cousins, just having a good time. And then for Sublime, like I was starting to get into my own. I think I was like 10, 11, and my sister and like all my older cousins were like, you know, we listen to rap or we listen to R&B. That one just stuck out. Like, man, it's a little bit of rap, but it's a little bit of, you know, funk. It's a little bit of reggae. It's a little bit of everything. Like it just hit me differently. Like the uniqueness of Sublime was just like, man, it just became a classic. And of course, E40, like when somebody just showed me the way that boy spits, and just like he'll say a line, and then 5 minutes later you think about that line, like, damn, you're right. Like I did send somebody back to get Carlos Rossi, and it came back with Blee. I'm pissed off, you know, I'm flashing on the nigga. Like, that shit was just, you know, the truth. Or, you know, Captain Roastabotch. Like those just like resonate moments in my life where I was just like, man, like just the overall lyrics.
Hey, I'll never forget that day. Was you with us, Chris, when we were coming out of Food for Less? Food for Less on March, and I don't know if you was the one that was driving, but we were coming out with that Carlos Rossi. Everybody dropped on it, and Drew's cousin dropped it.
Nah, I was there. That's all right.
Shout out to the homie Drew. You know what I'm saying? I know he's out there working right now. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was hella funny. Just the expression on his cousin's face.
Yeah, he got the flashing on the silly nigga, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, E40. But yeah, no, I mean, those personally, like I said, they're just like different elements as far as coming up. Like they just had not like a major impact on me, but it just gave me a different way of listening and thinking about music. Because before that, it was all like, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire, or The Temptations, or Aretha Franklin. Like those are the ones I grew up on. My mom and dad would play on, you know, Saturday, Sunday, where they did the thing. These were other ones where just like, hey, there's other music out there. Check out this rock, or check out this E40. I was like, whoa. But coming into number 5, like this guy barely made my list. I don't know why. Like Tiger was saying, this guy is just a genius when it comes to lyrically. But I was almost gonna put E40 there, but at number 5, anyways, Kanye West, Graduation.
Yeah.
When I think of that, like I'm a young man, like 21, 22, and I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as my brother-in-law, Robert. Rest in peace, Robert. Like, he would play that album all the damn time. He'd just be sitting there with his bottle of vodka, just drinking, play the whole song just like in his own emotions. And then that got me into my own emotions, and I'd be like, pass the bottle. And we're just sitting there pretty much in like a gloomy apartment. Y'all seen the apartment. A gloomy apartment, just sitting there drinking. Didn't even have a Xbox or nothing, a little boombox. Shout out to CDs. You know, kids don't know what CDs are nowadays. A little CD boombox. And we just listened to Graduation constantly. And that just hit me, like I said, Graduation, I don't know what it was about that album, but it was just like, for me, it was just raw, uncut. It was like it was speaking to my 20-year-olds at the time, like, yeah, fuck college, yeah, fuck this, fuck that. Let's just spit it real. So coming in at number 5 was Kanye West, Graduation.
That album was a damn classic. That's why. Dude, you don't know what happened. That album was a damn classic. Like, you just played all the way through. That's when Kanye was at the height, you know what I mean, of his career, pretty much taking down 50 Cent as the top dog in rap. But that was when the futuristic beats started coming to the forefront. And then you started hearing that flashing lights, that like, yeah. But all right, let me get into my number 5. My number 5, it's not a radio album. So it's not like a whole lot of hits I'm going to talk about, or, you know, it's a classic. It's one of those, if you know, you know. But the time of it in my life in 2000, you know, we were living in Riverbank Apartments, me and my dad. And and anybody that knows Riverbank Apartments, it sits pretty much right outside of townhomes off of Bianchi. So I would hang out with friends that I went to school with. And then eventually, you know, I met the homie Drew and Chalk. And we would hang out right there. And they stayed pretty much on townhomes in a spot right in front of Riverbank. So we would just hang out there every day. And every damn day, we would bump number 5, The Locks. We Are the Streets. I mean, that album is East Coast gangsta at its finest. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the Mob, and I like what Griselda Records kind of has going on, but there was nothing East Coast gangsta on a level like The Locks. And I'm talking about, like, Chris, you know all the songs. I mean, Fuck You, Blood Pressure, Ride or Die Chick. Well, that was the commercial song from the album. But the album just had so much. I mean, it launched Jadakiss. As a solo, because he was so hard on there. It launched Styles P as like the gangster. Like you know, Styles P became an OG off that album, and Big Sheik was the enforcer. Like, he ain't coming at you lyrical, but he was the dude that would come in and be like, I slap you in your face, faggot. This Big Sheik. You know what I mean? And that's just the way he was, and that's just the way they rocked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like us, like a 3-headed beast, and they was just out there. I mean, just lyrics was just fire. And it was the first album off of Bad Boy, so they were hella dissing them in there. And that was fire to me.
Big Sheik was king of starting the song off. First verse, he kick it off raw. He gets you in the mood as soon as the song come on.
Yeah. Dun. It's like, yeah, that's it. You know, man, that album, I mean, song for song, it was on tape, but you know what I mean? So song for song, I mean, man, classic, great, East Coast gangsta's finest. And listening to it out there on townhomes with a lot of people who didn't even, you know, never really listened to the Locks before. You know what I mean? Seeing them into it, it was something nice too. Like yo, like they're out here grooving to these dudes from New York.
Yeah.
And that album did, like I said, it did start that movement that brought the Air Forces back to the forefront for that era. It was like, dude, you got to get the all white forces, or you got to get the forces like Jada, the forces with the yellow checks. You know. That was prime Locks. That was classic Rough Riders, that first run that they had. And that's my number 5.
Well, my number 5, I waited a long time. Everybody know about the Loonies. You know what I'm saying? Well, on the second Loonies album, my boy Yukmouth, he had a couple of songs, and they were solo. And people always thought in the back of their head, like, he was raw by himself. So finally, he gave it to us, and he came out, and with with the cherry on top, he signed to Rap-A-Lot Records, Scarface and the boys. And he came out with his double album, which is a classic to me. And the Thugged Out album. That album was, whew. The beats, the lyrics, double disc, from front to back, slap. And it was funny, it came out, and then I moved to the Bronx, New York, and I was bumping it out there. And them cats, the New York cats, they was on there, was like, who is this, son? Who is this? And I was like, that's Yukmouth. They was like, who? I was like, you heard of the Loonies 5 on it? You're like, oh, yeah, yes. I was like, yeah, okay. And then people don't know, the Loonies went on tour with Biggie on his first album. The Loonies, but they got kicked off. And that's how they remember who Yukmouth was, because Yukmouth was the one acting crazy at the concerts and everybody loved his lyrics out there. So everybody knew who Yukmouth was. And I let my boy from Queens, his name was Chris, too, also, from Queens. I lent it to him, man. He kept that tape for like 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? That's how the album slapped, man.
That was fire.
And you know, the Regime, you know, his group that he started to try like a mini Wu-Tang thing. They're from all over the United States, all over. So that album had like different tastes, different styles, different rappers from all over. So yeah, that's my number 5 right there. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Before we go back to Marcus, let me ask you, CP, like, I think Yukmouth, The Abulation was his best album, but I think Thug Lord to me was my favorite because it reminded me so much of my times with Mark C and all of us and Drew and everybody. And it's like I wanted to put that on my list where with the person who's at number 4, but I enjoyed the number 4 album with them too. But now that I think about it, not as much as Thug Lord. Thug Lord was great, but I think that the Abulation, he just spit fire.
Yeah, he was hungry. The new record label finally got it by itself. Could speak on his own topics. He was feeling good, that one. Yeah. And he had Big J Prince in his corner. But yeah, that's my number 5. What you got, Marcus?
Coming in at number 4, this man made many albums in a short period of time, but I didn't know about it. This man, like I said, like, it was brought to me by CP himself. We were staying together. You know, CP brings a lot of underground, a lot of local artists. Like I said, I knew about rap, but this man changed the game for me, changed the way we spent Thursday and Friday and Saturday nights. This man is Mac motherfucking Dre.
Yes, sir.
And that dude, like I said, just the way he spits, just the way he gets you in that like hyphy mentality. Like, there's a lot of different albums, but I had to go with Mac Dre, Thiz Washington, just for the Thizzle dance was on that album. And motherfucker still like, man, you just first you do like this. You put a look on your face like you smell some piss. Man, when I heard that, you just get ready.
Yeah.
Me and CP would just get ready. We'd pass whatever cheap-ass alcohol we had back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Try to put on our best white tees and walk to the motherfucking bars or clubs and just try to be like the man. We get in. We didn't get in. We didn't give a fuck. Because Mac Dre didn't give a fuck. And that's how the hell we felt. Mac Dre would just spit raw, just spit uncut. Nigga, we from parking lot pimping to just regular pimping. Me and CP and whoever else was around us just had a lot of fucking memorable nights of just listening to Mac Dre constantly, nonstop, from the time we woke up to the time we passed out drunk. Mac motherfucking Dre. That's my number 4. Every time I hear that, I don't care if I'm in church. I want to get up and slap somebody. Mac motherfucking Dre is the shit. That's coming in as my number 4.
Yes, sir. You got
my number 4, and like I said, number 4 was hard because I really wanted to put Yuck Mouth Thug Lord. But my number 4, man, dude. And when I say 4, you know, it's like I said, my list is just different. So it's not like I really went in here trying to rank numbers, because it's like it's hard when you're talking about all-time classics. You know what I mean? Because probably my honorable mentions might be better albums than the ones I'm going to have on there. What meant to me a lot, number 4. So in 1997, 1998, I was introduced through me and my friend Sherman. Shout out Sherman. Me and him got into 3-6 Mafia. Crazy in the Last Days was that album. I think Sherman had the album, and I used to just bump the hell out of his album until I think I ended up just taking it from him. But there was one person in particular that was the next album to come pretty much after the whole 3-6 Mafia, because to me 3-6 was Crunk before Crunk. I don't want to say hyphy before hyphy, but it was more of like that fight music that everybody's trying to glorify, like all that, like, you know, I bet you won't hit a motherfucker, you know, like tear the club up, like shit like that. But it gave birth to my number 4 album, 1999, Project Pat, Getty Green. Anybody knows me knows how I feel about Project Pat, and Project Pat, Getty Green in particular. That album, to me, CP knows this album. Marcus, I'm pretty sure you know this album. Yes, it blew me. It was one of the first times I realized you didn't have to be tight lyrically in rap to make it. Because he wasn't tight lyrically. He was making up his own type of words and slang a little bit, but it was still tight. And it's just like, I mean, just a quick run of that. I mean, it had Ballers. It had Choppers. It had We Gon' Rumble. It had Sucks On, you know. I mean, it had Let's Run a Train. It had Getty Green, the name of the album itself. It had If You In It Represented. If you know, it had what with Noriega. I mean, that album was a classic to me. Like I said, it might be like a cult classic, but to me, Project Pat, Getty Green, it's like that album stood up. I mean, it gave birth to Mr. Don't Play, which had Chicken Head and, you know, laying the smackdown down the road. You know what I mean? Like all them Don't Save Her. You know, it gave birth to all that. But it started at Getty Green, and that's an album, like I said, I was able to share with a lot of friends. We got it in with Project Pat, you know, but out of the whole 3-6 Mafia, Tear the Club Up Thugs, Hypnotize Mind Crew, that rapper and that album, to me, was the best at the height of it. Not the height of it, just more of the best as like a mix of kind of like Southwest, thugged, drinking, because he wasn't rapping about anything great. He was just rapping about going to get some coke, going to get a 40, you know what I'm saying, slanging rock, you know. But it reminded me of Hustle and Flow. Like if you took Hustle and Flow, that'd be like Getty Green almost. But that's my number 4, Project Pat, Getty Green. Project Pat. All
right, my number 4, another one that impacted my life. This was kind of, the whole 5 is kind of hard. I wish we had 10, but my number 4, I'll have to go with the album that impacted my life. It's summer of 90, going into the 11th grade, I believe. Summer of 95, 96. And had to be Outkast, ATLiens. That was, I remember when I first seen the video, I was about to leave the house, and it was on BT. Then ATLiens came on, and the you know how the beat rock when they come. I'm like, who the hell is this? That's Andre kind of switched up his. He got Erica Badu one time, and that's we didn't have no Facebook or no social media where you could see the rappers every day. Back in the days, you only seen them in concerts or they later video they came out with. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't seen nothing about Outkast in a while since Southern Places for Cadillac Music. And that came out, and I was like, who is this? It was just, man, that album just changed everything. That album's so deep, makes you think. You listen to it from front to back. And at the same time, they feeding you information. The beats was just off the chain. The Dungeon family, period. They was running stuff in Atlanta. They was running it back then, so I would have to say ATLians. Plus, say Andre 3000. I don't know so many lyricists like dude. Everything he touched, man, he take over. But that's my number 4. ATLians, Outkast.
Yeah, I definitely got Outkast on my list too, coming up a little higher. Realizing going through this list right now, I'm starting to realize like all the music I like is like 2004, 2005 or before. I don't know if you call me an old man or what, but I'm just realizing like a lot of it is all before that.
Marcus, before you go real quick, let me ask you guys something. You think ATLians was harder than Southern Playalistic Cadillac Funky Music? Like I'm just saying, like, because they was raw right there. I mean, that's my favorite Outkast. I know a lot of people. I know everybody goes with ATLians, but to me, when they was pimps, was when they was like, that's the Outkast I liked and whatever. Yeah, when Andre kind of went out there, I kind of liked them less because I liked them better as pimps. Right. I didn't really like. I didn't like what they became because I knew how the story would end. Eventually, they would just become so different. They wouldn't do music.
I just like the fact that they came out, they were speaking on something different. Because back then it was more either your hardcore or your De La Soul. That's all.
And the Dungeon family was making some tight beats.
Yeah, definitely. Like they had a solid group. It was just a new age sound coming to me. Like boom, like what's this?
Yeah, you was either Tribe Called Quest or you was like NWA or hardcore rap. They were down the middle with it, They were still Southern Playalistic pimp with but then they hit you with knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Then they could just bust down the lyrical hip hop on you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Speaking of knowledge, like my top three, like these artists or groups, I ain't gonna let you know who's in there next, but these make you think. They made me think. And instead of just giving you that beat to be like, yeah, this beat's what's up, they sat there and made me think about things and made me think about my life and just like I said, just made your mental game step up.
They told
what's up?
They told stories in their raps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely told stories, made me feel some kind of way. And that's why I said coming in number 3 for me, this man is another genius. This man just changed the whole game, just lyrically wise. And unfortunately, he changed the game because we never seen a white rapper like this before. And that's Marshall motherfucking Mathers. Yeah. Now, it was hard to narrow down to one album because he hit 2 back-to-back. He hit Slim Shady in 99. But the Marshall Mathers LP in 2000, man. Dude, I don't know what it was about that album, but I just could put that shit on like from start to finish. And that song, The Way I Am, that always made me think about my pops because, like I said, it was about 2000. Me and my dad was beefing, and he's like, I am the way I am. If I wasn't, then why the fuck would you say I am? Yeah. I was just like, oh. And then the next verse, he'd be like, I sit back with my pack, his zigzags in his bag, and his weed that gets me, the shit needed to feed his most heinous MC. Oh, that boy, man. Shout out to headphones, personal headphones. I had headphones. I'd be on the bus. I'd be at the park. I didn't care. I was mugging everybody. I was in my own world, in my own zone. I mean, Marshall Mathers, or I never meant to give you mushroom, girl. I never meant to bring you in my world. Oh, man, that dude.
Was Stan on there?
Yeah, Stan was on there, too. Yeah. Stan was on there. Marshall Mathers, I'm back. Kim. Oh man, who knew? I mean, he just had some classics, just pure classics. And he was just breaking up. He just started to mess with Dr. Dre, so you know his beats was solid,
Yeah.
straight fire. Everything was straight fire. Like the moment you heard it, like I was like, oh, it's about to go down. It's
Uh,
about to go down.
that's
But
what-
yeah,
that album came out when I was in New York. I was coming back from. I was going to move back. I had to catch the Amtrak, the train, and it was a 4-day ride. I left Sunday, got Stockton Thursday, and we still had Walkman cassette tapes. That's the only tape. I stopped at the record store. I had an hour. I ran down Times Square. That'd be on TV, big ass Times Square. They got the Virgin Records right there.
yeah.
I ran in there, and I had to hurry up, and that just dropped. I bought that, and that's the only tape I listened to for 4 days straight. I had that. You put it on, I probably know it word by word by now, because that's all I had. 4 days straight. Marshall Mathers. Yeah, that was a classic right there.
That dude literally changed the game. Like I said, for me, like I didn't know Detroit rappers like that, but after listening to him, I wanted to dig into more Detroit rappers, more Midwest areas like Kucha Conflict or Bone Thugs and Harmony. I mean, there's a lot of people that make the list, but that boy just man, that dude for me, the way that he laid out his tracks and just said random stuff like "I slap you with the tampon," I was just like, oh my gosh.
He put words together real good and made them rhyme real good.
And on top of that, like I said, these next three, they just make you think about stuff. Like the way he just like brought it to your attention. Like, all right, yeah, we are worried about it's a problem when they blame him for shooting up schools and stuff like that. But where are the parents at? Now it's Maryland's fault. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, oh, you're right. It's like take a look at yourself before you start blaming this quote unquote gangster rap. Because they always want to blame gangster rap way back since NWA's age. He was like, enough of that shit. He just changed it for me. But yeah, Marshall Mathers, LP, coming in number 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like the Eminem show better than Marshall Mathers, me personally. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, there's something about the third one. That was the Eminem show, right?
Yeah, I think the third one was Eminem.
Yeah, the one that had "Say Goodbye to Hollywood," "Soldier," like "Dun Dun," "Say What You Say."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I was depressed or I was just like I was telling CP, I was just pissed off with my dad. But the way I am, man, I play that in my funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like I am whatever you say I am.
That one had the most hits. You know what I mean? That one was the one like was shattering all those records.
That like I said, that just gets you fired. Like we was talking about on a different podcast real quick. Like if we ever have a war or whatever, but I can play that the way I am. Give me my gun and I'm just going out there like whatever. I'm gonna try to take everybody out with this clip. Like, that's all I got. But yeah, he definitely, like I said, there's a lot of albums he put out. He puts out a lot of good music, and he makes you think. But it was just hard. But that was coming in with number 3.
Let me tell you about my number 3 before I reveal it. Majority of my music, like I said, because I based it more on like the impact it had with me and the people around me, and like kind of like the feeling sharing it with people. There's like the ones like that didn't make my cut was hard, like T.I. trap music. I really liked that album. It had me and my wife's song. My wife's song is from that album, like our kind of like couple song, "Let's Get Away." Rubber Band Man. That was like, that album was like right before I became a father. And I was, out there, us, Twinkie, shout out Twinkie, Mikey and everybody. And I think as much, maybe there's only one other album I can think of that I was involved with all of you guys, the same people I just mentioned. And that's Get Rich or Die Trying. 50 Cent. 2003, before I became a father. It hits the timeline, like I said, I met Maria already. Get Rich or Die Trying, man, that album was like, I think of Chilling at Your Apartment, Marcus. I think, like I said, Mikey, shout out Mikey, Twinkie, everybody, it was like you, Chris, and I'm like, but the lead up into it with with the mixtapes, and then when the album dropped, and I mean that album is it had 21 Questions, it had Many Men, it had Wanksta, it had What Up Gangsta, it had Pimp. I mean, fuck. In the club was on there. You know, it's like, dude, it's like that album, man. And then what it gave birth to with the G Unit, you know what I mean? As in Banks, Yayo, and everybody, Young Buck eventually, which I liked it straight out of, what is it? Out of Cashville? Like straight out of Cashville, Young Buck. But that album at that time in my life with the people that was in my life, you know, that album was fire, you know, like man, that's my number 3, but man, that was just a monster of an album.
Yeah, I remember we bumped that album real quick, and before that album came out, you was telling me about 50 Cent, so I went to the store and got 50 Cent, Guess Who's Back, the one before that.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to play Murder, Murder all the time. For the, you know, the X that will not be mentioned. I was like, murder, fuck around and get you, murder. Yeah, but that album, Get Rich or Die Trying, definitely all-time classic. Definitely.
Yeah, because a bulk of the ones, like I said, I'm picking is like times when I was like finding myself almost in life. That's why a lot of my music, that's why a lot of the ones I picked are pretty much like right before I was either a father or, you know what I mean? Like they're all usually around that timeline of, you know, that 90, 98, 98, 2000, and then like 03 to, you know, like I said, whenever I was having a kid.
Right.
So that's kind of like how I based my list on, just kind of like in that type of impact, or like I said, you know, like group, you know, with friends. But go ahead, CP.
All right. On number 3, man, it's hard, man. It's hard. I'm leaving some stuff out. Man, I gotta say that the impact of my life, I gotta say, Juvenile 400 Degrees. Woo-hoo. That was the one. I had just went to Grambling State, and that introduced me into the Cash Money cliques. They wasn't out yet. They weren't out in California. It was all about Master P. So when I went out there, I kept hearing this little kid rapping over some dope ass beats. And I'm like, who is this little kid, little light ass voice? I'll say, man, that Lil Wayne, man, that there, you know what I'm saying, how they talk in Louisiana. That Cash Money. Like they were like, bump that Master P. This is about this Cash Money, because they roll with the streets, you know what I'm saying? That's what I found out when I was in New York. You know, when I was in New York, when you in the hood, that they ain't really like getting down with that like Puff Daddy and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? They was bumping, like when I went to visit, and like when I was still in high school, like in like 95, 96, my brother, he was bumping Beanie Siegel before Beanie Siegel got big. Like right when he signed, he like, this dude's gonna be the one. And then I came back out there when I moved out there in 98, 99. He was like, this dude gonna be the one. He was talking about 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? And then boom, 50 Cent come out with the Get Rich or Die Trying when I come back to California. So when I come back from Louisiana, Juvenile come out with that, huh? And I'm like, this the dude I was talking about in Louisiana. That's him. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, they blew. You know what I'm saying? Cash Money on the map, took over, made Master P and them, changed their whole style of dress. You know what I'm saying? Remember, they was in the Mafia, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now they changed the T-shirts and soldier rags, and just everybody wearing the Jabos and the white tee. Yeah, but the 400 Degrees, you know? Yeah, the shake your ass music, you know what I'm saying? With the music for the ladies, music for the gangsters, music, you know, Matty Fresh, classic producer, Hall of Fame producer, you know what I'm saying? He was like the Dr. Dre of down south, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Juvenile 400 Degrees. That was my number 3.
All right, what you got for us at 2, Marcus?
All right, coming in at number 2 was so close to number 1, so close. But I figured like this might be on your number 1 list, so I got knocked down to number 2 for me. And this was a time in my life when my pops, you know, one of his close friends died in Stockton, California. And he was like, I don't want to live and die in California. So we ended up moving out to Madison, Wisconsin. And at the time, I was listening to like a lot of Master P, Ghetto D, a lot of Sibo, a lot of Brother Lynch, a lot of like, you know, California Spice One. Blow. I was listening to that. And my pops was like, hey, buy me a brand new CD player with the anti-skip. And I knew I couldn't take a lot of stuff. So there was only one album I could get that I could listen to. And that was, it had to be to take to the Midwest or the East Coast. I didn't know where the fuck we were going. I needed some music. So it had to be Tupac, All Eyes on Me, coming in at number 2. Man, like I was telling you, for my top 3 going up, it just, Tupac is another one that just makes you think. He just put words together that just hit your soul. Just resonate with me. Like, but that album, man, like, No More Pain, Life Goes On, California Love. Like, I'm out there somewhere else, like, California, just screaming it. The Wonder Why They Call You Bitch. I remember being in freshman year out there, just be like, just pointing to girls with my headphones on, like, why they call you bitch? Oh, man. Like, that shit, like, Tupac, like I said, he got all his albums are classic. But for that album right there, I just remember playing it, like, for a month straight. Nothing else touched my CD player except that. Go to school every day, I'd hear, like, 4 or 5 songs. Then they'd be like, take the headset off. I'd be like, huh? I'd be like, hold on, let me put it back on. I got a lot of trouble in class and still trying to listen to Pac out there in the Midwest. Tupac just has a way, like I said, just slapping you upside the head with his beats, with his lyrics, making you think about your life. Being half black made me think about my culture, about the struggle. You know, Tupac, just going to a different city, I just had to take that West Coast with me. So I took, coming in at number 2, Tupac, All Eyes on Me. All-time classic album.
That's an all-time classic album. But let me tell you why I didn't put it on my list.
Tupac didn't make the list.
Let me tell you why I didn't put, like, as far as the criteria I'm going off of, Tupac was something that I listened to with Nathaniel, because he was bringing home like all the music that was hot out here at the time, like 40, Lynch, you know what I mean? He would bring like that stuff home. So if I wasn't listening to it with CP, I was listening to it to him. So it's kind of like I enjoyed that album, like, but you know what I mean, myself, like it's a all-time great album, but I also got very deep into video games at that time, to where I kind of like didn't listen to music as much that I was, because I was saving my money. Instead of buying albums, I was buying video games. And then the people I was hanging around wasn't really listening to that album. They were just, we were like video games and, like some other stuff. But, so it was a game it was an album I'd listen to with family, but we really didn't bump it like, I really didn't bump it with like a group of people like that.
I mean, like, only God could judge me. Only God. Shorty want to be a thug. I was a knucklehead, like, when I was listening to this. So, like, every song, like, it was like Tupac was right there with me, just telling me, like, yeah, you got this. So that's why I came in at number 2 for me, though. But what's your number 2? What did make the list, Tiger?
Number two, well, like I said, the backstory of number 2, I was going into high school. Yeah, matter of fact, it was freshman year of high school, Stag High. I heard of the artist prior to, you know what I'm saying, seeing this video that, from CP. CP already gave the interlude at number 3 to my number 2, but it's Juvenile 400 Degrees. Let me tell you why, for me, 400 Degrees, when Ha came out, I mean, man, just the start of it. it's just like so like man. And then when he's coming out, you're like, damn, who is homie? Then yeah, that's when Chris is like, remember, dude from Soldier Rags, like yo, like that's him. You know what I mean? Like damn, this how. Or it was and that first Hot Boys album, the one before We on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. But what it gave birth to as far as Jabot jeans, it was like, yo, you couldn't. Everybody I was around in high school had Jabot jeans. Like, if you didn't have Jabot jeans, like you was hella sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like like that. You know what I mean? The way they were like flossing, and then it gave birth. You know what I mean? It just started off that run that included BG, Chopper City in the Ghetto, Bling Bling. You know what I mean? That album. Man, it led to the Hot Boys, obviously down the line, Wayne, on top of that. But that album right there was like going into high school. It was just like the album at the time. That, Rough Riders, you know what I mean? They just were kind of blowing up at the same time. But Cash Money was just so unknown out of nowhere. It was such a new sound where maybe the Rough Riders are like, it's just another East Coast crew. But Cash Money, like, man, that just knocked me upside the head, you know what I mean? And that was it. Like for us at school, like that was it. It was Cash Money, like that was it, That's my number 2 album.
All right, well, my number 2, just man, you play this all the way through. West Coast, the Dog Pound Dog Food album. The New York. You know what I'm saying? Corrupt kicking down the buildings, man. That was the one, man. Just the whole Dog Pound, just that was like a movement. That was, Suge dropped the ball on that Death Row record company. They just had classic after classic after classic. But when the Dog Pound came together, Corrupt the lyricist, and you had Daz with the beats, it was just a classic. You can listen to it from front to back. And on the low, Daz did all Tupac's music damn near. When he joined Death Row, Daz did the All Eyes on Me album, because that's when Dre left. You know what I'm saying? Daz finished that album. So Daz with the beats he's very underrated with his beats. But that Dog Pound Dog Food album, that's my number 2. You can listen to that from front to back. And then they had the classic, them, Death Row, and Redman, their albums, the music, of course, but the interludes, oh my God. Oh man, the interludes on that album, it's just a fun album.
Yeah. That was back when albums had skits, like when they had like good skits.
Yeah.
These nuts and all that shit.
Yeah.
WW balls and all, man. That was the one, man. Dog Food from the Dog Pound. That was my album.
Definitely a classic album, man. Like I said, there's a lot of albums didn't make the cut before I get to my number 1. Like I don't know who's on your number 1, but like Rough Riders, DMX Rough Riders, like that was a good album. Ghetto Boy or Ghetto D, Masterpiece. We used to listen to that shit like all the time. That was another classic album.
Ghetto
Boy. What?
Ghetto Boy's Mind's Playing Tricks on Me.
Yeah, that was another classic album.
I grew up on that album. We grew up on that album, Willie D.
I don't know the name of the album, but what's the album called with Ice Cube? Fool, I'm a vet. You could bet that I could dance underwater and not get wet.
Ice Cube. That's the West Coast Connection.
Yeah, that album I listened to a lot of too. Yeah, man. Like I said, there's a lot of albums that didn't make the cut. That I'm sorry you didn't make the cut, but man, it was tough.
Man, there's a lot of E40, Mac Dre, the Turf Talk album.
Oh yeah, Turf Street Novelist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turf Talk. The Far Side. Can't forget about them.
The Loonies.
There's a lot of classic albums out there. Like, honestly, we could have had you could make a top 25,
For real.
And still miss out a few albums, to be honest.
J.O. Felony. You can't forget him, San Diego in the building.
But my number one album, like I said, y'all talked a little bit about it before, and my number one album is Aquarium by Outkast. Now I know y'all like ATL Aliens or Southern Playalistic, but I didn't know about them. The reason why I said Aquarium, because that's the first time I really heard Outkast like that, like the two-headed monster that they are. And I don't know if it was that
Aquemini?
Aquemini, yeah.
Yeah.
It just, like I said, when I heard that album, I still, like you said, I still had a tape player. I just put that motherfucker on side A, go all side A. Won't even rewind, flip it over to side B, play all side B, and just having a great time. Like the way Outkast or Dre and Andre 3000 they spit, it just, like I said, it just makes me constantly think. From Aquarium to Rosa Parks to Slump to Mathematica, like that album just like changed the way like I think and listen to music. It just had me like, it was upbeat. It wasn't really like, all before that I was like, hey, I put on music, I want to get in some kind of grimy like California mode where I'm gonna beat your ass or take whatever. When I put that Aquarium on, I'm like, I could just chill and like think about things. And like Aquarium, where he talking about like he was dead. Like I said, it just, man, that album, like I didn't know if it was gonna be that or Tupac All Eyes on Me, but that one just edged out a little bit because it was just brand new music to me. Before that, it was all like rap, gangster rap, or a little bit of rock. Like I said before, that album just, like I said, it was just like, whoa, like, man, I can't believe other people rap like this, have crazy beats that I would never hear before. But you just let it play. You're like, okay, that's a trumpet. Like, man, so Outkast, Aquarium. Unfortunately, that's my number one album on my list. That thing just changed my life. I was out there in Wisconsin. That just changed the way I look at people, look at things. Like, man, if you didn't know Outkast, you couldn't fuck with me at the time. Like, man, get out of here. Go listen to whatever you listening to.
If you ever have a pot of gumbo, that's what Outkast is. They bring in a little bit of everything.
That shit was just fire. I mean, they got other great music.
Is that the one with Slick Rick?
Which one?
Aquemini. Is that the one that had Slick Rick on it? The art of storytelling.
Yeah. No, they got the art of storytelling part 1 and part 2. Yeah. That was another good songs. But like I said, Aquarium. How you say it, Chris?
Aquemini.
Yeah, man. You and I, like I said, that just, man.
It's a Gemini put together.
That thing is just like, man, upside my head. But of course they had like Stink on Ya, Speaker Box, AT and Aliens, Southern Playalistic. But Aquemini was just like, whoa. It just, like we always talk, like kids like to talk about like being awake. Aquemini woke my ass up like, whoa. There's other types of music out there different than mine. So that one came in number 1. That's why I edged out Tupac, All Eyes on Me. And that's my list. I'm sorry to everybody that didn't make my list. There's countless other people I could think of that had smaller impacts, but I cut it down to that. That's Common Sense's list.
All right. This is my number 1. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of them that I wish I could put on, but you know what I mean, for reasons, I didn't, you know what I'm saying, because I made my list, different, like I explained already. Number 1, man. How could an all-time great album be underrated? I think this album, as an all-time great album, is still slept on today. Maybe because he's still alive, and maybe his music ain't what it used to be. So, as I've had in my honorable mention, Dr. Dre, The Chronic comes out. It changes the game. It's fire. It introduces the world to my number 1 album, Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg. I put this album up against All Eyes on Me, any Pac album, any album in rap, period. This album has so many hits. You know what I mean? And just like you're saying dog food, this album has the dog pound on it. You know what I mean? If you really look at Snoop Dogg Doggy Style and you look at the hits off that album, you could put it maybe because All Eyes on Me is a double disc, but if you put any single disc Pac album, it's better. I mean, for me, I would take Doggy Style over Machiavelli. I'll take Doggy Style over Tupacalypse Now. I'll take Doggy Style over all those. The reason maybe I with All Eyes on Me, it's because you got so many songs thrown at you. But classic for classic, I put it up against All Eyes on Me. Let me tell you about Doggy Style. Lottie Dottie, Gin and Juice, Murder Was the Case.
That's the one.
Ain't No Fun If the Homies Can't Have None. Obviously, Who Am I? What's My Name? I mean, I'm not even, like I said, I ran out of space on my paper for that. You know what I mean? Going into like, okay, the shiznit, serial killer, for my, this is for my, and this is for my bitches, this is for my, and this is, you know what I mean? Doggy Dog World. G's up, hoes down, pump, pump. I mean, I honestly could say I could probably 10, 11 classic hits off this album alone. And then, now let me get to how when it came into my life, it was off of The Chronic, so Rebellion and Gangsta and whatever was already in all of our minds. So going into, I believe it's the 6th grade, I got the tape of Doggy Style, right? And I'm just like, because everybody had to have it because the buzz was so big before the album came out. So one day we're at Madison Elementary School in the portables. I believe it was P6 in Mr. Wakefield's class. He stepped out to go to the office for something while we were working. I take the tape out of my backpack and put it in his stereo he used to play his music in, and I play Who Am I? What's My Name? I mean, it was like, for that brief, like 2, maybe like minute and a half of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I mean, it just, everybody was with Snoop, and it was like everybody had to have that album. Everybody had to talk the slang, and obviously it set up, the Chronic, but it also set up the Dog Pound and going forward. That album to me was maybe the greatest rap album I've ever heard in my life. Skits included, just song for song. That album for me, that's my number one. Sorry to all the songs, you know what I'm saying, I didn't make it. Maybe, like Biggie, like, albums like that, Ready to Die or All Eyes on Me. But to me, I had more of an impact off Doggy Style than I've ever had off of any of the Pac albums. So that's me. That's my number one. That's it.
Lottie Dottie and Murder Was the Case were definitely you just let it run through. Just classic.
Then he was going through a murder trial during Murder of the Case. Murder Was the Case.
I remember when my fault, Steve people. I remember when he got performed that, they pulled him out in a wheelchair. I remember he came out in a wheelchair, and he like got up. I was like, oh! I still remember that.
I'm just saying, if you look at the track list for Doggy Style, I could put that, as much hits as I was naming for 50 Cent, I could do the same thing for that album. It's just so many hits off that one album.
My number one, I've been a fan since day one. My number one album, Wu-Tang Forever, double CD. That's easy for me. Classic album. That's like my hip hop Bible right there. You put that on, say you good for the day. You good for the road trip. You know what I mean? You get the hardcore. You get the gumbo. You get the something for the lady. You get the knowledge. That's like the hip hop Bible right there for me. You know what I'm saying? And you got 7 members, 7 main member, core member, ODB. There's no father to his style. You got Methical. Just too many styles. You got Ghostface Killer. Just slap your mama, nigga. He'll slap you. He'll slap you too. And take your bitch. You know what I'm saying? And Man, You God, the militant one, him and Inspector Deck. Inspector Deck, the lyricist, kick the song off hardcore every time. Man, then you got Master Killer hit you with the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? The RZA on the beats and the aggressive style, the murderous style. Oh man, you just like it takes you into another place when you listen to that album. When you listen to the Wu-Tang, it's like 36 Chambers, and it's big, man.
Did that album have Cream on it?
That was the no,
Oh.
no, that was the 36. It was the 36 Chambers. I believe it was 36 Chambers. Yeah, yeah. But that album was like just everything in one. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was the and plus that was their We Made It album. You know what I'm saying? For them, they was on top right there. You know what I'm saying? They was on top. They were battling with Pac right there for that All Eyes on Me. They came out. They dropped that at the same time, actually, if I remember right. And they was up there with Pac. And yeah, that was my album right there. Yeah. But man, there's so many people that didn't make it on my list. Like I didn't say Tupac. Because me personally, I was a fan of Tupac more before he signed with Death Row. Because I think with Death Row, he was more rapping like it was a job. Like I'm with these gangsters, so I gotta rap gangster. You know what I'm saying? That Suge Knight, I gotta be gangster. Whereas people forget when he went to jail, he had the #1 album on billboards with the man, what was that album?
The Dear Mama album.
Yeah, the Dear Mama. But that album right there, that was the #1 album in the nation. Before I Die, what is it?
No,
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
It's because I was just seeing that one the other day. Because I'm with you. I think I liked Pac more before he was with Death Row, but he had more commercial hits at Death Row. So that's another reason All Eyes on Me isn't like really as revered to me, because he was tighter in that one before he went to jail. Me Against the World.
Me Against the World, that album?
Yeah. Yeah, that album right there, #1. He went to jail. He didn't even promote it. He didn't do no. I don't think he did. He didn't do no videos for it. Nothing. And it was still #1. You know. But yeah, that was like. Those were like, to me, those on Death Row. Those were like Rush albums, because I think he was trying to hurry up and get off so he could do his own thing, go back to what he was doing. Because I think like after one or two songs of talking about Biggie and all that, I think he was over it pretty much, and the rest was just like he was forced to keep it going because, you know, controversy sells, you know. Because I heard stories, you know, they bumped into each other, and I heard like, you know, rumors that said, you know what I'm saying, I'm just in it for money. I'm just in it for the money. I'm doing this for the money. You know, this is what's selling right now, so I'm in it for the money. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if they were still alive right now, I think they'd be cool as shit. You know what I'm saying? Be laughing about that shit. Like, you know, you got me on that song, yeah, you know. And if Biggie was alive, I don't think none of them. I think all them. I think Biggie would have took all them rappers with him that was on Bad Boy. I think everybody would have left. You know what I mean? That's part of the situation. Probably the reason they're gone is because of the same person has had his finger in it. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know who I'm talking about. I think what's the name had his fingers in both situations, but you know that's why they're unsolved and people dying around him, and he still keeps skipping on. But yeah, that's my #1 Wu-Tang. You know, but a lot of them was off. Like I said, Tupac, Biggie, man, Busta Rhymes. Oh my God, Busta Rhymes, UGK, Scarface, Ghetto Boys.
You know, like it was hard for me. It was hard for me to leave Bone off E1990 Eternal, and then the, you know what I mean, and then the ones with Crossroads. It's like those albums, like me, Sherm, Little Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like you, like everybody was kind of buzzing with that.
Dipset.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, definitely classic. Buster got left off. Biggie got left off. I mean, it's hard to come down to 5 guys. You know what I'm saying, or just a list. That's why we challenge you. We ain't big country music listeners, but if there's your top 5, definitely comment your top 5 down below. Tell us who we missed. Tell us what order you would put different things in. But I challenge you, listeners, to go out there and listen to any of album that we mentioned right now. I guarantee it will change your mood in a better mood, maybe a little worse. I don't know. But these are all 15 to 20 classic albums that I challenge anybody to listen to from start to finish and tell me you got a better one. Tell us where we messed up, who we messed off. But
we messed up. We left the females off, man.
Missy Elliott comes to mind as far as rappers.
The Brat.
Lauryn
Hill.
Eve solo album was a good one. Her first debut album was a good one.
MC Light. Queen Latifah. Lady of Rage. Sugar T.
We left NWA off. We left Ice Cube off. We left Ice-T off.
Mia X.
There's a lot of people we left off, man. It's too hard to put everybody on one list. We'd be here all day.
Trina.
That's true. A lot of people lost in the shuffle.
A lot of people probably don't remember The Boss. From the Midwest, Detroit, The Boss. MC Breed. He ain't you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. I gotta get mine, you gotta get yours.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely challenge anybody to come up with their top 5 and leave it in the comment section. We don't know. We might give you a shout out on the next one. You know what I'm saying? If you bring an album that we didn't think about, that should have been on our top 5, I'll definitely give you a shout out. Put it on that like, smash, comment, let us know.
Goody mob.
And before I get out of here, let me say, everybody be safe out there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, wear your mask if you think that, you know what I'm saying? If you're a mask person, if you ain't wearing no mask, keep your space from people, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully we'll get through all of this, whatever it is. 209, everybody be safe out there. Much love. I'm done. I'm out.
I just want to let y'all know we got the merch, you know what I'm saying? 3 reasons why you want your shirt. Hit us up on the email, 3reasons2020@gmail.com. That's again, 3 reasons, the number 3 reasons 2020@gmail.com. Get your shirt, leave your information, we get back at you. And another thing, hit us up on the Cash App, man. $CDP209. $CDP209. Give us $1.
Yeah.
5, 10, something. You know what I'm saying?
Don't buy no Starbucks coffee, man. Send that to us. Help us put more product out there for y'all, man. Get you a shirt. We got all sizes, all colors, man. Get you some merchandise, man. Represent. We underground. We local. NorCal, stand up. Help us, help you.
Yes,
but I definitely challenge anybody. You got a bad day, like Tiger said. You in quarantine. You at work. Put any album we put down. Let us know what you think. Let us know if we wrong, we right, whatever. I know, like I said, to all my lighter brown people, I know we didn't have no country out there, but maybe there's a country album we should be listening to, or a woman rapper, something. Comment, let us know. But if you stuck in quarantine, you stuck at work, any of the albums we gave you gonna lighten up your mood, lighten up your day. We appreciate.
Before I forgot about Common. Chicago in the building.
Twister. There's a lot. Crucial Conflict.
Hey, before we go, because I don't know. Then I don't know the next time. Like I said, we're gonna jump on, but I just want to wish good luck to Real Madrid on Friday. Hopefully we can come back. Advance in the Champions League. That's why I'm here for good luck, man. I'm starting to come back early. Let's get it.
All right.
As always, we got you live, uncut. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Be safe out there. We out.
Down.
Hey, hour 15.